Imagine that. A whole state made up of suckers.
Cabeza, how's it going, man?
Hey, good morning, Polo. Everything is bueno here.
It is. Is it muy bueno?
It is muy bueno, amigo.
Yeah, I think we've tapped the knowledge of my Spanish so far this morning.
Hey, at least you have some words there, right? If you're
Yeah.
ever in Mexico, you can say something's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what to say if it's bad? Let's say, ¿Cómo
Mal?
está, señor?
Some-
Mal?
Something
Yeah, there you
mal.
go.
Mal.
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 Yeah, mal.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mouth can't make that sound.
Yeah, it's okay. I get made fun of too. They say I have an accent, so you're good, man.
Did they say you have an American accent?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I figured, like, if you were born and raised in the U.S. but you still speak Spanish and you learned it from your parents, I wonder if, like, when you go down there, like, they're like, oh, you sound like an American, or you sound,
Yeah, it's I mean, I feel I have an accent even in English. So it's just when I went out there like a year ago and literally to the motherland of El Salvador, my family told me that was traveling with me, do not talk when it comes to buying something. I'm like, what? And then we went into this little store, and this was like we went to this little town, and they give you like this drink that's like, I don't know how much alcohol it has, but it's kind of sweet. And I kid you not, my cousin ordered it and he paid like $1, and then they were trying to charge me $5. I just said, I want to order the same thing in Spanish. And I was like, why are you charging me something? So yeah,
they were like, oh,
that accent.
you're a foreigner, so they were trying to
you're a
squeeze you.
foreigner.
Yeah.
I look Hispanic, but they're like, we know we're gonna take advantage of you. So a little sad about that, but it's all good.
Kind of messed up though, you know? That's like,
My own people, man, they're taking
Man.
advantage of me.
they're
I
like,
guess you got to make a quick buck. I'm coming back to the motherland. Like, oh yeah, let me remind you something. Here,
yeah.
take a piece of your flesh.
Do you have a fire alarm that needs to have the battery replaced?
Why?
I hear a beep in the background sometimes when you're
Oh
talking.
yeah, you're right. I do every once in a while. I've replaced it, and then it still beeps. I don't know. I think it's. Yeah, you heard it right
Yeah,
there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I replaced the damn thing, and it just
Dude,
it
seriously,
still loves.
all this time before I started recording, I didn't hear it once. And then now when we start talking, I hear,
Because we have great audio, I think. We finally hit the sweet spot.
we hit the sweet spot where now we can hear your chirping in the
Now
background.
we can hear like all the stuff in the background. Yeah. I replaced that. I replaced the battery, Polo. And then after a while, it's still
There it goes
starts
again.
chirping.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? We were talking earlier. I know you got something in your mind that you really want to dive into.
So speaking of swindling people's money, we talked about Prop 27 last time, right? And we were trying to figure out what it was. The ads that have come out, we were talking about some of the ads that have come out already on it. Like initially, it had the sad Native Americans standing around saying, please don't vote for this. It'll take our money away. And then it was like, oh, here's a concerned mom saying that it'll turn every cell phone, every screen into a gambling device. But now, like the best commercial for Prop 27 has come up. And I just want you to listen to this because I think this is the one that'll probably send it over the top, that if you're on the fence, especially if you're a Californian, I think this is the one where you're going to be like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm voting for that. Let me play it now.
Prop 27 sends 90% of profits from online sports betting to out-of-state corporations in places like New York and Boston. No wonder it's so popular out there.
I can't believe those idiots are gonna fall for this. 90%.
Hey, Mark, did you know California's sending us all their money?
Suckers. Who's idiots?
Imagine that. A whole state made up of suckers.
Vote no on
Suckas.
27. It's a terrible deal for California.
Those East Coast people.
You lose.
Imagine a whole state made of suckers.
We win. Suckas. She almost got ran over in that
I know.
commercial. Did you see that? I was like, whoa, people are out there are cutthroat. Not only are they taking money from Californians, but don't step out, you might get hit as well.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That was my favorite one. That was my favorite commercial they've aired so far is that one. Because it's like it's playing up on, especially the Boston one, you know, because like they're really playing up the whole Boston Southie accent.
Yeah, yeah.
A whole
mean-
state full of suckers.
A whole state. You know what? And that's the thing. Like, you get all this information to. This may be really. We don't know what it really involves. They just kind of give you little details.
Well,
And if you hate-
we got the voter guides this week. We got the
know.
booklets.
But
So-
even then, is it kind of generic? Don't you think? It's still.
I'm
Oh,
reading
what
in-
is?
I've been reading it up on it. And I can tell you what, like, so Prop 26 and Prop 27 are kind of related to each other, where they both deal with online betting, but it is in depth, dude.
Confusing.
There are
Is it
pages.
really?
I'm leafing through it right now. There are pages upon
Oh my
pages upon pages.
See.
I'm as you see me turning. These are all Prop 27 pages. I keep turning it.
And
12,
you know what it
13,
is? Like,
14.
You know what?
15.
What I hate about those
Half
props?
this voter guide is Prop 27.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you at all. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. Ain't nobody gonna read all this.
I still don't know what I need to do on it. I'm
Well,
very
Well,
on
I
the
mean,
fence. I don't know. Like,
all joking aside, my cursory glance at it.
I mean, I don't want to hurt the Indian nation, but then I get other commercials that says that you're not hurting the Indian nation. Like, what's the deal? And now, you got Boston people and New York people involved.
Well, I think what that is so what it's talking about is that's FanDuel and DraftKings.
Right.
And
Are they based out of there?
one's based out of New York, the other one's based out of Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, with all the
Bah,
suckers.
bah.
Imagine that, a whole state full of suckers. It's like the dumbest thing. But it's like playing into
love
the
it.
stereotypes. It's like, oh man. But I mean, just from a cursory glance, the reason why these are suddenly, out and about, and I'm reading from the booklet. So we've already done more than I think 90% of the electorate in California does. We actually opened up these booklets and looked at them.
Absolutely, man. I'm into it. I haven't opened it yet, but I will look into it.
Yes, two people making an informed decision versus millions of others who are just like, I like that ad. Okay, I'll vote this way. But
Yeah.
But the reason why what launched all of this, in May of 2018, the United States Supreme Court eliminated the federal prohibition on sports betting. As a result, states now have the freedom to authorize online sports betting at locations within their borders and establish regulations, consumer protections, blah, 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 blah. So basically, there used to be a federal ban on sports wagering, and the Supreme Court knocked that out. So now each state gets to decide on its own whether or not, essentially, gambling is legal or not within their borders.
So you mean to tell me I've never done this? I can't gamble online because I'm in California.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, right now. I don't know. I don't really gamble. And I mean I see, there is this fear that it's gonna just start going crazy, gangbusters in California with all the online betting.
Yeah, and that's why you see the no on 27 or whatever, is because obviously the state's native tribes have essentially had a monopoly on gambling within the state. So like the only place in California where you could actually go gamble was on tribal land, because tribal land is sovereign and separate from state land. So this threatens this could potentially threaten their ability to basically make money, and how they've been making money for a while, because apparently this prop will allow it's online sports betting is what
But
it
I
allows.
mean, let's say I'm betting here for it. I'm using one of these apps. I mean, literally, how can they find out if I'm in California? I guess is
probably
that-
your IP address. That's
Okay.
usually the main
That
thing.
makes sense.
Like if you have a
Okay.
VPN or whatever, you can get around all that, but most people don't know how that stuff works. So
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. If you really wanted to, you're doing it anyways, right? You set up your VPN and it doesn't really matter.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's
I,
it's one of
can
those
we
things
say,
where
Polo,
what?
that if you're an online bettor, you're pretty in tune with the technology of, tech, just basically
Oh yeah, if
computers
you
and in
want to
general,
gamble, if you want to
that's what I'm
gamble,
saying.
then you're gonna find ways to do that, and it takes only like a couple of Google searches to figure out how to set all that stuff up. So
Yeah.
if you really wanted to gamble online, you already know how to do it.
So I'm formulating my opinion as we speak. So does California get money because of this now? It helps with homelessness,
Well,
apparently, right?
that's what they say, but
Okay.
I'm going to
Maybe
tell you
I
right
am
now
gonna allow it.
in the 15 pages of the law here, this is I can't get through all this. The text of the proposed law is I didn't want to go into it. Okay, so it sets up a California online sporting or sports betting trust fund. It sets up a trust fund. 85% of this trust fund goes to the California Solutions to Homelessness and Mental
Okay.
Health Support account, which will be created in the fund. And then money shall be made available to relevant local entities and such. So
The supporters, basically, the government, California, is going to get money from this. That's probably why they're pushing it. Correct?
yeah, but the ads say that 85% of all this money goes to like DraftKings, FanDuel, all those types of
And
platforms.
the push from the Indian tribe nation more than
Exactly.
anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So they're trying to. So it's a matter of saying, do we want to be jerks and take something away from the Indians, or do we want to actually support California business in some ways that can trickle down to the people?
Yeah, my take on a lot of these things, like any proposition that has some kind of financial stake involved, my whole thing is, does it help Californians or not? And if
I'm
so,
gonna
like
say yes. I'm gonna vote for it.
I'm vote
Is
I'm
this one of those? Is
I'm
this one of
voting
those props where you say yes, but you're not supporting it? Because
no
that's
no
another thing.
I'm voting no on both 26 and 27 and just being done with it. Oh
Really?
yeah,
I want to know why.
because I'm just tired of it. I'm like, you know what? I just vote no on both and
So
be
you're
done.
giving the power to the Indian nation. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, because like 26
No,
is
but you
linked to
can't
this
do
one.
that. Come on. Like, you're gonna read all those pages?
No, I'm not
There's a
reading all
read.
these pages because most of these pages, just so you know, most of these pages are the text of the law itself. So
Yeah.
here's the thing: for anybody who doesn't live in California, if you are a registered voter, you get a voting guide every election.
Mm-hmm.
Every election, you get this voting guide, which is very in depth, very transparent on all the laws. So if you're voting on a proposition, you're voting on a new law that will take effect within California at some
And
point in
how do
time.
those props come up? It just
People
I'm
collect
testing you a little bit.
signatures. People collect
There you go.
signatures. So you have to get a minimum number of signatures for something to qualify to be on the ballot. Then the state legislature has to approve for the proposition to go to the voters
Yeah.
to be put on the ballot. And most of the time they allow it to happen. Like
As long as you get the signatures.
as long as you get the signatures and valid signatures. That's also the
And that's another
where the
thing
politics
that,
comes into play is the whole quote unquote valid signatures thing. So like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Bart Simpson, they're all trying to
the
have a
other
say in our
infamous
government.
prop that got approved. I just say this. I'm sharing this on behalf of my mother. Was the charge on the plastic bags from
Oh,
the
yeah.
Walmarts.
Yeah, 10 cents a bag.
Yeah, and then I told her, because she's we're on opposite sides. I typically go Republican, she goes Democrat. So we're sitting doing our history and studying everything. And I said, look, this is going to affect businesses and it's going to come down on you. And she's like, no, but it's the right thing to do. A week later, after it got into effect, she was complaining. It's like, I can't believe it. Because my mom looks at every cent at the market and
Yeah.
I can't believe it. They're charging me 10 cents. I'm like, yeah, remember I told you about that?
Well, they're trying to encourage you to bring your own bag. That was the whole
But you
thing
know, we're
behind it.
always at the forefront on those things, right?
Oh yeah, but I tell you this much. I tell you this much. How many loose plastic bags do you see blowing around these days?
That is true. That is absolutely true.
Because you used to see them all over the place, just caught up on branches on the side of the road, on the freeway, or wherever.
Yeah,
And
that is true.
but
And that's the thing about California that I think we take for granted. They really, like you said, try to take care of the people. You know, there's some things there that we have in place. You know, they're questionable. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
we can dive into the whole
Oh yeah, yeah.
energy thing, which I
Yeah.
do want to talk about. But for like, even like, let's say if you're creating a business or you're trying to buy, there's laws in place in the state of California that prevent companies from taking advantage of you that we don't even know, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's
So,
you remember like in the Constitution of the United States, there's that one line, like why are you establishing a constitution? And you know, the one line that always that sticks out to me is to promote the general welfare. And I think in California, the general thrust of everything is to do that, to promote the general welfare, which means trying to make it a nice state to live in. There's deep, deep, deep problems with this state, but I think the spirit of it is to try to make life as good for as many people as possible within the state.
right. And just really, it tries to take a conscious decision about what is the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you criticize. There's a mistake, right? Business and finances always take a back seat in this state, and then we have some of the repercussions. But I did want to talk about our governor, Newsom.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin
Awesome-
Newsom
awesome
wants to
name, man.
take away everything you love.
So we love electricity.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of
you
it.
know, it helps us out, especially since the state is a lot hotter in certain areas.
Yeah.
And but we also love our Teslas and electric cars. And I just thought it was funny. So we have this thing. 2035 is a pivotal year, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, 2035. Yeah.
When all new cars are supposed to be electric. And I know they passed a law or a requirement, or they're going to pass it, where all new houses are going to have solar panels.
Yeah, they
correct?
passed that already where any new house built
Any new house.
after 2019 was supposed to have solar panels on the roof.
We are going into this green energy technology. The electric companies are saying, can you please not charge your vehicles during peak times because it's putting a strain on the grid?
Yeah, and
Wow.
it's only going to get worse over time. The thing with the energy thing that you brought up is there's a gap. Just so people understand this, there is a gap between what can be generated and then what can be used.
Yep.
And that gap is a huge gap that most of the time isn't felt by people because the temperature doesn't get too hot and the generation is able to keep up with demand. But then what we learned this summer, just a few weeks ago, was we had this really, really bad heat wave that lasted like 11, 12 days.
Woo.
And
Hotter than Texas.
oh yeah, it was extremely hot. You're running your air conditioner almost all the time. Remember,
Absolutely.
like we both know people who have lived here all their lives who are now having install air conditioning in their house within the last few years. So it's obviously a problem that's growing. So what happens is California has generally over the last 10 years been a trend toward installing more solar power, more for electrical generation. We also had hydroelectric power, but those reservoirs that power those hydroelectric dams are empty or near empty. The electrical generation peaks during daylight hours, but obviously once the sun goes down, that electrical generation goes away, but that's when peak demand hits. There is an offset between solar generation and then electrical demand, and they've been trying to augment
and that's
it
when
with
it gets
battery.
hottest too.
Exactly, 4 or 5
In
o'clock
the
in the
evenings.
day. Yeah,
That's when it's the hottest time.
exactly. And they've been trying to augment this with battery storage, but the problem with battery storage is you may get 4 hours of storage time before those batteries are depleted. So what we've got going on is a situation where the state wants to electrify everything, not just cars. They want to electrify appliances. And so we hit that point during the recent heat wave where they're like, hey, try to conserve energy between peak times. And it's like, dude, it is 115 degrees outside. I am running my air conditioner, man. I don't care what you say.
Well, they're saying not to charge your vehicle in these times.
Yeah,
really
they didn't want people
Which is
charging
when
your
people
vehicles.
get home, right? When people get home.
Yeah, that's when people get home. They plug their car in.
So I think it's okay that we're trying to go that route because we gotta at least fall on our face. We don't know. Like, we didn't know that. So as much as I like to make fun of Gavin, unless we make the push, we're just not gonna know.
It's almost like saying
Yeah.
force the issue, force the crisis. Because the thing is we're shutting down the nuclear plants. Like even Gavin Newsom is trying to keep the Diablo Canyon nuclear reactor running because I think he finally realized that we don't have the base electrical production in the state to handle the gap that we faced during the heat wave, and we're going to face even more because as everything goes more and more electric, that means more and more electrical usage, and we currently don't have the generative capacity to handle like where we're going to be in 2035. So you're saying that by making these laws, we're forcing someone to come up with a solution to generate the power that we need.
Yeah. Californians want their. Man, I'm so bad. I can't do the Boston thing. I'm gonna have to ask you.
California's a bunch of suckers. They can't charge their cars.
There you go.
All them Californians out there with their electric cars, they can't go because they got no power. I don't know if that's a Boston accent.
That's okay. It's good that we're trying to do this initiative, but we got to be a little bit realistic. And I think we just need to lower our standards.
That's what I try to tell women a lot when I was young and single. You just need to lower your standards, okay?
Just
And then we're there. We're right there. Just lower your standards a bit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
right here. It's like we've gone from the United States, the greatest country in the world, to we need to lower our standards a bit here, okay? Let's just manage expectations.
Just my Canadian friend told me that we definitely lowered our standards with our last president to the point where it was like, do you guys know what people think of you in other nations? I was like, you know what? We really don't watch the
really
news.
Don't care.
It's we just, and it's true because I remember when I went to El Salvador, they're like, we had this issue last year. What did you guys think? I didn't really know that there was this. I mean, I know kind of because I hear from my mom, or there's sometimes on the Spanish news channel you'll hear some stuff about other countries. But he was saying that in Canada, there's at least, maybe I'm skewing the number, but 30% of the news is worldwide. So you hear about other stuff that's happening. But then when it comes to the US, it's like so skewed about US news that they don't know anything that's happening. We don't know.
To be fair, it's a big country. There's like 300 million people here,
Yeah,
God, I'm even worse. It's like I really don't give a shit what happens in the rest of the country half the time. I care about like California news and like local news.
That's true.
There's like 40 million of us in we're like our own country over here. And
that's true.
So it's like you think about if you're an American, it's a big country. There's a lot of shit going on around here and a lot of crazy shit. Because that's like our news is very much like it's like a circus. It's like an entertainment show. Because if you watch,
we got to know who's the latest carjacker. You know, we got to see. That takes up a lot of time.
If there's a car chase, for people who don't know, in Southern California especially, if there is a car chase, all programming is preempted while we watch a car get chased on a freeway. At night.
I mean, until the end, right?
Until the bitter end, and then like the entire time, the guy in the helicopter is like narrating like police policy and everything, and like, okay, well, he's currently heading up the 405, and then everybody who watches these things is amazed because it's like it takes forever to get anywhere around here. But if you're in a car chase, that guy is living the dream because they're traveling like 80 miles an hour on a freeway. There's nobody else around.
It reminds me of that movie. Is it Kirk Douglas, where he's like an engineer that got fired?
Oh,
and then he goes ballistic.
It's Michael Douglas.
Oh, Michael
Falling
Douglas.
Down. Yeah. Falling
Is that
down.
the name of the movie?
Yeah,
Where
that's a great
he
movie.
has like the Dilbert tie, and he goes with his suitcate and is just pissed off at
And
all
everything.
of LA.
It's a movie that just,
He's in LA.
if anybody has never seen it, it's a perfect distillation of how frustrated middle-aged dudes viewed Southern California and stuff in general in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, because
It's still happening.
it hits it hits everything.
It still applies.
But it does. The best scene of the entire movie is when he wants to go order a breakfast sandwich at a fast food place. And they're like, we stopped serving breakfast at 10:30, and it's like he looks at the clock, it's like 10:32, and so he pulls out a gun. He's like, I want a McMuffin, god damn it.
That's what that's another thing about Canada, and I'm not complaining. So I was telling my Canadian buddy, it's like, hey, customer service here is non-existent. It's just you're not gonna get like a very, like, if in Texas you'll get this good feeling like, how you doing, sir? How can I help you? Not, and then there's certain pockets where you get that here, but for the most part, you're dealing with a jerk who's upset about their job. Is it just me? Is it just me? Maybe
I grew up on the East Coast, dude. If you're lucky if they give you the time of day. If you're trying to do something,
I know.
California is so much more pleasant on that side of things. The thing about Texas and the South, it's all, here's the thing. They're friendly, but it's fake. It's all fake shit.
You hit it right on. I was just, and that's what I told him. I was like, you know what? When I lived there, yes, people made me feel like home, but then they were talking shit.
Exactly.
I know they were. It's like, you don't really like me. It's that fakeness, right? Like I told him, I like it when you're real. Like, well, not East Coast real. Like,
oh, that's what I prefer.
Like,
I prefer East Coast real.
You prefer that? I have a hard time with that.
I prefer it because, and there's a difference between being nice and being kind. In my eyes, you can be nice. Being nice is just being polite and pleasant or whatever. But what I found is people who are nice usually aren't very kind. Like, and on the East Coast, they'll tell you to your face. They will bust your balls to your face.
Man. I've worked with people from the East Coast. It's rough.
But they would give you the shirt off their back without even asking, without even a second thought. They will help you out. They will help you move. If you're stuck on the side of the road, they will help. There is a
That is true.
That's kind. That, to me, that's called kindness. That's like, hey, you fucking mook. You fucking mook. I fucking hate you. What? Oh, you ain't got nothing to eat? Oh, hey, man, let me get you a sandwich. It's like, I would rather live in that environment than in the fake, oh, sweetheart, how you doing? I hope you've had a great day. That stupid bitch. Oh, my God. Behind your back. That kind of nonsense.
I'm going to say, when you talked about moving, do you remember those big-ass couches that we had the opportunity of moving a couple months back?
Yeah.
It was, just so you know, everyone, we went, actually, I took Polo with me to help me because I was going to use, I have some friends.
We were moving Paul Bunyon's couch, basically.
Yeah, we were moving Paul Bunyan's couches. So we actually found his missing couches in this sweet little old lady's apartment. And I convinced Polo with my girlfriend at the time to help me move these couches.
I was promised a home cooked meal, which is why this is what that's what won me over. Hey, you get dinner. Yeah, okay.
I picked Polo because he doesn't have any tattoos. He seems very decent man, and we're going to this lady's house or apartment, and just didn't want to scare her with any of my goonish looking friends that are great people, but could be judged right away. And we had, just getting out of that apartment with those damn couches.
I tell you, I've been walking this earth for quite a while, and I have helped dozens of people move, and that was bar none the hardest one I've ever had. Like, I didn't even know how they got that couch into that place.
I don't know. That's what
That was how bad that was.
Without damaging her apartment. We literally damaged her door. I had to pay money for that.
Yeah,
$1,000. Remember I told you?
yeah.
And then remember how we kicked the damn couch down the stairway? I mean, it was.
It was. I've never had. That was the toughest move I've ever done in my life. Of trying to just get a couch out the door. Paul Bunyan's couch, because this is like, I don't know if they like had opened up the roof and like airlifted this in with a helicopter initially.
No, man.
It's like, how did this get in the house? If we couldn't, like, we had to take, didn't we have? We had to take the door off the hinges on the at the other place just to get it in.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny part because when we got to the destination, we did the Salvadorian style because we knew we couldn't get in the door.
Oh man, yes.
Do you remember that?
The best part of this entire thing was because there was the whole getting the couch out of the one place,
Yeah.
and then trying to get it into the other place, and we took the door off the hinges, and that didn't work, and then finally.
Remember, Jose helped us out. I don't know. I just called him Jose because we had to get somebody Latino to help us on the other side.
Yeah.
But
But that's the kind of thing, dude. That situation right there is the kind of thing I'm talking about with being
That's
kind.
what I'm saying.
With being kind rather than nice, because this dude was like on his way to go do something else. He saw us struggling with this couch, and he just, without us asking, just leapt in and helped us get this couch into this house where we had to strap it down.
It wasn't. It was apartment, second story
apartment where we couldn't get in the door. So we had to come in through the patio and the porch. And so imagine like 3 people trying to push Paul Bunyan's couch up to a patio on the second floor with.
Which, by the way,
and
I'm like a spider monkey holding on to the couch once it got to the top.
Oh man, this thing. Yeah, this couch weighs like 800 pounds. And you're like hanging over on your shins trying to hold this couch up while we run up the stairs. They kind of help pull it in. And then we had to get it in through the patio door. So we had to take all the patio doors off to get this thing inside. It was...
Well, we figured it out. I don't know how we did it. By the way, we made it work. And when I say Salvadorian style, you know what I mean, right?
We improvised, adapted, and overcame. That's what I know.
Definitely, yeah. Teslas. I just had a friend of mine visit me from Canada. And he was like, I can't believe you guys have so many Teslas out here. I've never seen it. I was like,
especially considering how it's a shitty car. Like Tesla, if you're going to buy an electric car, that's like the worst one. It's like the shittiest.
Wait a minute.
It is.
Wait a minute.
It has the poorest build quality out of everything. Oh yeah.
God. We're gonna have to talk about.
Oh
that.
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about it because, dude, you know how much control Papa Elon has over that car, man. They could shut shit down remotely on that thing.
Oh my god. Well, here's the thing. Before we go into talking about Papa Elon, actually, I don't even like calling him Papa Elon.
Papa Elon.
Like,
Papa Elon. Like he's gonna solve the Ukraine Russia.
Like, no way, man. Like, no.
Have you seen that dumbass on Twitter? He's like, this is how you solve the Russian-Ukraine thing. And then
did he make that?
Yeah.
Is he gonna make a business out of that too?
I have no idea. But then he was like, well, this is how you solve China and Taiwan. And basically his solutions for everything is just for countries to give up territory to whoever's invading them. It's like
they just put their hands out. Oh man,
he's a dumbass.
But he's interesting.
So Elon Musk is like the perfect example of one of those people who's just because they're successful in one area, they think they're somehow geniuses in like everything else. And it's like, no, you're just kind of a dumbass who got lucky and made some money off of some things you made.
I like him. I think he's I see it differently, but I want to hear he may, because of the success he's had, feel like he can dabble into politics, and we know people have done that. But go ahead. What did he propose? I want to know what his proposal for Russia.
So, just so everyone's aware, Russia invaded Ukraine in violation of a treaty they signed in the early 90s. So, like, Ukraine used to have nuclear weapons. They gave them up because Russia guaranteed Ukraine's sovereignty and their territorial integrity in exchange for Ukraine basically giving their weapons to Russia. But in violation of treaty, Russia first invaded Ukraine right after the Winter Olympics in Sochi, and then they invaded earlier this year They thought it was going to be a quick 2-week war where they would kind of lop off the head of the Ukrainian government and immediately take over. But the Ukrainians actually know how to fight. And with American and NATO funding and support, they've been able to not only defend themselves against the Russians, they're now on a counteroffensive.
Man, they're taking their lunch for sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And now that the tide of the war has seemingly turned in their favor, noted genius Elon Musk, beneficiary of apartheid-era practices and son of an emerald mine owner, Elon Musk, decided to propose a quote-unquote peace treaty that basically said, hey, why don't we let the people in those areas vote on whether they want to be Russia or not? Of the territories that Russia basically invaded and then quote-unquote annexed.
Isn't that what Putin was trying to do anyways?
Yeah, with the phony reference, like they didn't even try to make it seem like it was
Didn't he do that
legit.
with Crimea?
Yeah, but they didn't even make it seem like it was legit. Like if it was legit, you would have been like, oh, 64% voted in favor, or maybe 72%. They were like 99% were like, yeah, let's do this.
It's like cheating, right? Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna cheat from you, and it's like exactly the same score everyone gets. Like you don't even make an attempt to try to like
they didn't even try
get
to
a
hide that it
couple
was
wrong. So it's like
they didn't even try to make it seem like So his whole thing was, oh, we should let these people decide, and da da da. But he's basically just parroting Russian talking points, right? It's like, well, Elon, how about a great way to have peace would just be have Ukraine have their territory that they're supposed to have? It's like, imagine if Canada invaded the United States and took over Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. It took over, a good chunk of our territory. And then some dumbass from South Africa was like, well, I know they invaded you and all, but how about we have a vote with those people to see if they kind of want to be with Canada or not? It's like, if you're an American, you wouldn't accept that shit. And of course, people were clowning on him for that because, the guy thinks he's Tony Stark, but he's more like Justin Hammer in like Iron Man 2. That's who he really is. He's just that dumbass.
Tony Stark.
I've heard people online, they called him Phony Stark. Tony Stank. But
I don't have faith for him. I think he's...
But people clowned on him, and then he was like, well, I also have a solution for the China-Taiwan thing,
No.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, well, how about we just let China administrate Taiwan? Like with Hong Kong. He basically wanted to do like a Hong Kong thing with Taiwan. So but it's one of those perfect examples of a guy who's achieved some measure of financial success suddenly thinks he's a genius with everything else.
He's about to get his hand slapped with this whole Twitter thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he needs to get all the money. Well,
that's the whole thing. People are speculating now. People are speculating that he suddenly was like, oh, wait a minute, I kind of want to buy Twitter now. Forget all that other stuff.
He's about to. The reason is because judges are going to uphold his initial interest in the company, and if he doesn't go through with it, they're going to still charge him for that.
Well, the speculation was he had gotten all this financing and funding from people, and he was kind of using the Tesla stock. The Tesla stock kind of as collateral. But then the market
just dropped.
So that's the whole thing.
He was making a proposal like, weren't being honest as far as what, the followers and the robots and all this stuff.
But it doesn't matter. That's neither here or there. Like, apparently the contract he signed, it doesn't even matter if it's true or not, because the contract he apparently signed was no due diligence. As is. So imagine you put cash, you made a cash offer on a house.
Yeah.
And you waived all the inspections and everything.
Yep.
And then when it came time to close the deal, the housing market collapsed and the house is no longer worth what you were going to pay cash for it.
Yep.
And suddenly you want to be like, oh, no, wait a minute. I want to back out. It's like, oh, dude, you signed a contract, man.
He sold some Tesla stock. So he still has.
The speculation was that a lot of his funding, when he said, oh, I'm not going to buy Twitter anymore, maybe some of his funding went away. And speculation now is that maybe he's getting funding from like Russian sources or somewhere else trying to launder their money. Like they're thinking that maybe he's suddenly parroting Russian talking points because that's where some of his funding's coming from now.
I don't know how Twitter makes money. Dude, I don't see any...
It's ads.
I don't see the ads. Or maybe, I guess so.
Those promoted tweets you see if you're scrolling along the
timeline.
That's true.
I really don't go on it as much. I do have some people I follow, but
It's
Yeah,
it's useful for like local quick breaking
bonehead.
news, but mostly for me it's just a bunch of boneheads talking about nonsense.
Well,
Like Elon Musk. So it's a perfect vehicle for Elon Musk.
now you did kind of bash a little bit the Tesla car, which I think it's a pretty,
It's a piece of shit.
it's a good. I mean, have you been in it?
Yes, it has poor build quality. Like a GM
That's what I
vehicle.
want to know. Why?
A
Why?
GM vehicle
Gee.
has better build quality than a Tesla. And GM isn't controlling my car, so
Oh, you don't like that for the thing, the whole computer system and all that.
no. And
What is it that's not appealing? Is it the door handles that come out? That what is it that doesn't appeal to you about the Tesla?
I don't know. I know quite a few people who have them, and it's you have to get past the whole like people who buy them are like buying into the idea of all this, like because like Elon Musk has done a really good job of marketing this. It's almost like Disneyland, where they're trying to sell you on the magic. It's the magic of the car. It's the magic of the Tesla. It's like this, ooh, it's a Tesla. And people are buying into that. And so it masks a lot of real issues these cars have, which is their build quality legit sucks. Stuff falls off of them all the time. Doors don't fit together well. You don't get
Man,
good
I
seals
just
on
never
them.
heard of this.
Yeah, because people,
you know, the
'cause
demand's so high for those cars
because
too.
people make it's the thing
I
is
want one.
think about it, if you like somebody or you like the idea of something, you make a lot of excuses and you see past a lot of shit that you should see because you don't you
Oh
want to
man.
believe in the dream. I want to believe in the dream that is Tesla. I don't want a Chevy Volt, which is a far better manufactured car even though it's from GM. I don't want that. That doesn't have the aura.
It doesn't look sexy.
It doesn't have the dream of Tesla. Ooh. But a Chevy
you
Volt
gotta-
is actually a better car. But
But,
well, actually, they had a
you know,
recall, so it's a GM car. So, you know. But the Ford, have you seen the Ford electric truck?
Is
The
that one
Ford
pretty
Lightning? Oh, man.
Oh.
Dude, if you want to talk about electric vehicles, that's what I want. The Ford Lightning. It's like the
good?
electric
So
replacement.
you really have faith in Ford and their electric cars.
I have
now.
faith in the American automotive industry, sir.
I see that. I
have
see
faith.
that.
I have faith in in an American automotive company that did not take a bailout during the 2008 financial crisis.
Ooh, man, did you have to throw? Oof. Yeah, actually, Ford did it.
Yeah, that Ford Lightning,
on.
you can't even get them. Like I think they had initial pre-order of $250,000 and completely sold out. You can't even get one. But the cool thing about the Ford Lightning is storage space. So imagine like most people with pickup trucks, you have they usually get like a the little storage thing in the back, you know, to put your tools and stuff in. Well, the thing is, since this thing doesn't have an engine anymore, where the engine used to be, that's a whole storage compartment now.
Yeah, that's true.
So you could put your tools in there. So you essentially get more truck bed space because now you have more storage space on that truck to put stuff in. And the truck looks great too. It's a great looking
I'm
truck.
looking at it right now. It's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I would. If you want to talk about electric vehicle, that's the electric vehicle that I would
It
get.
gets 230 miles
Yeah,
on a charge.
to a charge.
That's not bad. And then it's see that it has some pretty towing capacity. It has a little helicopter in the back that is towing around. Not bad, man.
We got to imagine it's electric, right? So all the power is immediately to all the wheel.
Oh, I see the front trunk. Oh, it looks nice.
Yeah, the
Oh,
front.
it can take 400 pounds in the front.
Yeah. Oh.
And it has like USB connections on it too, so you can actually. Okay, I see you, Ford. All right,
Yeah.
I might have to look at those guys, see about investing. That's a pretty. Thank you. I didn't know that they had brought out something for. Okay.
Yeah, Ford is at least under their current leadership, they're going all in on the electric stuff. In fact, they have broken out their electric division versus their legacy division, and are almost running them like two separate companies.
See, here's the thing though with Ford. They're like the Michael Jackson to my life experience. I'm gonna tell you why.
Did the Ford Motor Company molest small children?
Wait. Let me tell you why. So Michael Jackson, as you know, I was a big fan, and then all these things started coming out, and HBO opened my eyes with their whole story about how he was a pedophile, and we kind of knew that already, right? We knew that, and it just further confirmed.
children.
and now I refuse to listen to any of Michael's music, and I love his music. I mean, total 80s kid here, never had the freaking glove or the leather jacket, but because I would have been beat up in the hood for that, but still loved him, you know. Ford, I used to have a 65 Mustang. I was all in as a high school kid. I was all in on Ford, loved him. Then I started reading up about Henry Ford and his ties and to certain organization. I think the Nazi regime.
Yeah.
He was,
Henry Ford was not a fan of the Jews.
or anybody that's just that. So I have a hard, and it's hard for me.
And he was not a fan of unions, and so like, just to give context, in the 1930s, fascism was extremely popular in Europe and North America because they were seen as anti-communist, because the Soviet Union was like the big bad at the time, and so anyone coming together to be opposed to them, a lot of American industrialists and capitalists were all in on fascism because they saw it as anti-communist. And Henry Ford was one of them, but the other knock against Henry Ford was notorious anti-Semite.
Complete, and so those are the things that bother me about every time I hear the Ford brand. It's just so hard for me to get over. That's why.
That's understandable.
Yeah, and then his family still runs it, so it's like, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. That's my
what that is.
That
I respect that, and that's completely understandable. And I will not make fun of you of your opinion, even though Ford makes great vehicles these days, and they did not take a bailout.
So I am going to say I might have to jump on that, just so you know, as an investment.
But
it's hard for me.
You know when this is going to turn, like en masse, when like Honda, Toyota, Nissan, and to a lesser extent like the Korean car companies like Kia, when they start making not only electric vehicles but electric SUVs and trucks, that's when I think this thing turns.
I mean, if they're gonna churn trucks, they better not consult Dr. Robotnik, because that Prius looks like one of his freaking cars. Like, it's like, did you just like go look up Sonic the Hedgehog? Somebody had like a night. I mean, that's such an ugly egg-looking. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Like,
no, not at all. And they're like the worst drivers on the road because they're like the most. Pickup truck drivers are bad, but like Prius drivers are like the worst. They will cut you off without even a second thought.
Well, yeah, I know. It just kind of feeds into the whole Robotnik jerk status. It just you become a Robotnik. I don't know, man. It's just
but what was funny is like we have American car companies taking the lead on EV vehicles.
They have to.
Well,
you know why? Because of actually a resident of California. He has a last name with 4 letters.
Are we talking about our friend Papa Elon?
Papa Elon,
the man who abandoned the state,
changed the landscape.
Yeah, give him credit. Here's the thing, just so people know, Elon Musk did not start Tesla. Tesla was an existing car company that he bought into.
He doesn't like to hear that.
Yeah, well, he likes you to believe that he started all these companies and that he's this great engineer and inventor.
Well, he started the technology. I guess he found the battery to make it happen.
Not really. No, so Elon, he bought into Tesla and then took the company over. Same thing with his Solar City. It was an existing company that he bought into, and then he took it over. SpaceX was an existing company that he bought into, and then took it over. I don't begrudge him. The man has made money, and he's, especially with SpaceX, because out of all of his companies, SpaceX is the one that's the most impressive because it was actually able to execute on the vision that he had laid out of reusable rockets. With SpaceX, it goes to show that if you hire the right engineers and the right people, and you let them do what they need to do, they can execute on the vision. Whereas it seems like he's a lot more hands-on with Tesla than he is with, say, SpaceX. Because I think with SpaceX, he's completely outclassed.
And Solar City.
Yeah, with SpaceX, he has a vision.
And the whole company.
Yeah. With SpaceX, he has the vision. The people execute it because, he's just not smart enough to know what they're doing, and he can put trust into competent people Whereas with Tesla and Solar City and all that, he's not that bright, so he can bully his way onto those things. And I think that that's why there's a different tenor when it comes to Tesla versus SpaceX.
I just want to add, Elon Musk, I would gladly have him in my family and be kind of him, but I would talk shit as that Hispanic side, okay? We would talk shit about, he's so weird. You know, we would say some of the stuff.
He's
like,
a weirdo,
I can't
man.
believe it.
All right, so that'll do it for this week. I've been Polo. My other buddy here has been Cabeza.
Yep, right here.
So that's it for this week.
I don't know why I did that. What is that?
Yep.
It's because you said must, so I got all weird too right now.
Yeah, you just forgot how to talk. Your brain got fried. Now you got to go on Twitter.
Completely how to interact.
Yeah.
I think you must be, man.
Just go on Twitter and spout some bullshit.
You must be right there. I became a weirdo. I couldn't even say bye.
If you had $1 billion, people would care about what you talked about.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.